John Tortorella could not really have expected to just sort of sneak into the area here without being met by a whole lot of folks this morning, and he certainly was center stage at the morning skate and very careful not to say anything critical or otherwise about his former employers, the New York Rangers, and simply looking to see if he can get the Vancouver Canucks on some kind of a roll here.
Yeah, but he was really gracious. He was available for everybody. He had a lot of smiles. Of course, it's early in the year, and if he goes on a little bit of a losing streak, he'd be like any other coach. He'll get a little bit angry. But you can see that he's getting his guys are trying to get him going. And Cappy, very serious look. Again, this is the end of our homestand for him, so he'd like to finish this homestand with a win.
Islanders will have Josh Bailey take the opening draw with Frans Nielsen and Peter Regan up front. Andrew MacDonald and Travis Hamonic on defense. It is Henrik Sedin, number 33. Chris Higgins, the Long Islander, number 20 from Smithtown. Ryan Kessler, number 17. Up front for Vancouver, who have Jason Garrison, number 5. And this is Alexander Edler, number 23, firing one wide. Swept back along the near boards. Missed first by Sedin, then chipped further down the boards by Kessler. But the Islanders recover, and now Nielsen goes after Edler, who just swings it back to Higgins for a dump in that he failed to get deep. So Vancouver in its first shift change. And it's MacDonald for the Islanders, scooping it into the Canucks zone. Tanev, number 8, lets it go. Dan Hamhuis, number 2. Former first-round pick of the Nashville Predators, works it ahead. And here's Mike Santorelli off to Sedin. That's Daniel Sedin, number 22. In low is Jannik Hansen, number 36, chasing Brian Straight here. But now Tavares for the Islanders sends it ahead to Molson. Tavares and Molson back on the forward line together now, playing along with Kyle Okposo as they did to start the season.
Well, you knew that the separation wasn't going to last long. Tortorella's tried to separate the twins. Well, Molson and Tavares aren't necessarily twins, but they play just like the twins. There was great chemistry between the two. No surprise there from Capuano.
Matt Donovan leaned into Santorelli there in the corner. Kevin Bieksa, number 3, plays it across, and that shot actually hit Hansen of Vancouver and ricochets towards the slot where Donovan played it ahead, but not out. So now Hansen recovers for Vancouver. Sent to the boards by Straight, centering feed, swept away by the stick of Nabokov and out to center.
Yeah, it's a great play by Nabokov. You don't see that very often for these goaltenders. They just kind of go down and let it go through the crease, Howie.
Little miscommunication on the handoff, though, and that enabled Bieksa to throw the puck deep, and the Canucks keep possession. Number 13 is Jeremy Welsh out of Union College up in Schenectady. Andrew Alberts throws one to the net, stopped by Nabokov, and it ricochets to the stick of Hickey.
Yeah, he's only played 7 games, so he's technically a rookie.
Not sure why Eric Hornick, our statistician, isn't here tonight, but he is thrilled that Mr. Welsh is in the lineup, as Eric is from Union College. Centering feed, Nelson, he scores! Brock Nelson, his first National Hockey League goal!
Wow, what a great play by Peter Regan as he's able to get the puck in behind the net and then throws a pass through the crease area. Just talking about letting that pass go through the crease. There's Luongo, goes up the plate, lets it go quick. Now watch Regan in behind the net, slides the puck through. Nobody picks up Brock Nelson as he comes right to the front of the net. Cannonball does the smart thing, chipping in behind the net, and then there's the pass out in front, and Nelson's left all alone, and boy, you can tell he's happy. Talk about going from Bridgeport into the National Hockey League, now back with the Islanders. Your first shift, Howie, and you score a goal. Doesn't get a whole lot better than that.
And you can hear the howls all the way to the University of North Dakota, the alma mater of Brock Nelson, who now has a National Hockey League goal to his credit. Regan and Clutterbuck set it up at the 2:26 mark of the first period.
Just the kind of start the Islanders needed to get an early goal, get their rhythm, their tempo.
And an even strength, too.
And from the third line, it really hasn't gotten a lot done offensively. So this is a win-win all the way around for the Islanders.
Stestito, number 29, put it through the slot. Picked off by McDonald for the Islanders. And Colin McDonald tucks it into the Vancouver zone. Well, that puck will be inscribed over on the Islander bench by the equipment men. Either Scott Boggs or Shaky Kraus.
It's always a good memory for a hockey player to score his first goal, and to have that puck, you put it up on your mantle or maybe in your bedroom.
Saved by Nabokov off a turnover. And that's thrown to the net off of the Islanders' skate belonging to McDonald. And back now, in comes Bieksa, but he's offside. Actually, Henrik Sedin was way ahead of the play on left wing.
Yeah, you never want to go offside. And when you see the winger Bieksa with the puck there, you got to give him the time to make his play. Straddle the blue line if you have to. But there's the goal. Watch Nelson as he just hangs loose, gets a stick down on the ice, and that's critical right there. And then he's able to get that puck past Luongo. Mistake in the defensive zone by the Vancouver Canucks. They had plenty of guys back there that didn't look to block out.
Now Tannen, number 8, forced to the corner by Pierre-Marc Bouchard of the Islanders. And a good hit behind the play by Bailey on Hamhuis. And now Nielsen had the stick chopped out of his hand. That's going to cost Higgins. That'll be a slashing penalty against Chris Higgins for relieving Franz Nielsen of his hockey stick.
Yeah, you know, I hate those penalties, actually, because they're ticky-tack penalties, Howie. Nothing wrong with it. Hold on to your stick. Franz Nielsen's only got a stick with one hand because he made the move, and then there's the quick sort of slash down by Higgins. So I know it's a call they make. I don't like it.
Well, if you can push a player offside and that's legal,
yeah,
why not be able to chop the stick out of his hand?
As long as you don't break it, to me, it's okay.
So, the Islander power play goes to work. Molson for Tavares. Out to McDonald. Saved by Luongo. Loose puck pitched towards the boards and now sent out of the zone by Richardson. And this Islander power play is brought to you by New York Lottery. Hey, you never know.
Big rebound by Luongo with the pads just about a foot off the ice. Couldn't control it.
McDonald sends Nielsen in. Off to Tavares. Remember, JT's got a 7-game point streak. And Tavares feeds it down low. Nielsen, nice feed. Luongo robs Molson, who puts the rebound home. 2-0 Islanders. Oposo in there batting away as well.
Talk about exploiting the #1 penalty-killing team in the National Hockey League. Boy, the Islanders made that look easy. They had a terrific entry coming up the ice, and then the quick passes, they knew where everybody was going to be. Look at the quick passes. Franz Nielsen over to John Tavares, and it's just going to go around the horn. They know exactly where all the players are. It's like a chess match. Quick down low, back in front to Molson. He stays with it. No chance for the Canucks to react to the passes. The movement was so quick, it looked just like a chess game. Bang, 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 bang. And it's 2-0 for the Islanders with barely 5 minutes gone.
So we have seen Franz Nielsen make some wonderful primary assist passes. And there was another one. Here's Hamhuis firing. A save by Nabokov. He failed to hold the rebound, and it's batted in. The Canucks get that one right back to make it 2-1 as Kessler going to the net. Bangs it home. Nabokov lamenting the rebound he didn't control.
Yeah, that's one that Nabby would like to have back. You can see him with his head down. There's the long shot. Hits him on the chest. And Andrew McDonald's not able to tie up the stick of Kessler. Watch Kessler in the middle of your screen. Go to the net. There's the rebound by Nabokov. And Andrew McDonald doesn't get there quick enough. And Kessler does, though. And it's absolutely no mistake. And boy, that is a huge goal for the Vancouver Canucks. Takes away some of the momentum of the Islanders, but more importantly, it gives them a sigh of relief on the bench that, hey, we're still in this game. Well, Jack Capuano will not be happy. You don't like to give up a goal, Howie, when you just score one. Do it so quickly.
It comes 16 seconds after Molson's power play goal. And now the Canucks back to work. Mike Santorelli, number 25, around to Sedin. Save made. The rebound chipped right through the crease. And recovered by Molson for the Islanders, who were sloppy on the face-off and the ensuing play immediately after the Vancouver goal.
Lost their checks against Sedin. Had a wonderful opportunity after a couple of rebounds, and he just kind of fanned on it. It's like the Vancouver Canucks have woke up.
Santorelli worked it ahead. Now Daniel Sedin, number 22, with his team changing. Spends a little time before playing it in deep. Hansen feeds high in the slot. And it looked like Nelson took a stick up high, but play continues.
It's a nice play by Brock Nelson to be in the slot area. Perfect positioning.
And the Canucks, Richardson sends it in. It's Brad Richardson, the former King, Stanley Cup winning Los Angeles King. Also played with the Colorado Avalanche. So we'll pick up all the scoring in a moment as 2 goals coming within a span of 16 seconds. And 3 have come within 2 minutes and 31 seconds here of the first period, which still has 13 minutes and 42 seconds to go. So 2-1 Islanders very early. Richardson behind the net. It's hemmed in by Hickey. Vancouver help. Comes from Welsh. But the pass batted away, and out comes Nelson. He is hit in open ice by Bieksa. They both end up going down. And the Canucks move out. Bieksa just flicked that puck in.
Well, it looked like he might have hurt his right thumb just a little bit with that collision. John Tortorella wants his team to be more aggressive than it's been.
Nice feed from Bailey to Nielsen. And then missed by Pierre-Marc Bouchard, who keeps the heat on Hamhuis. Good read there by Hamannik. That puck is underneath the Canuck. And recovered by McDonald for the Islanders. Now Bouchard throws it down low, tipped wide by Cizikas. Tanev around towards Hamhuis. And now Weiss, number 32. Dale Weiss played briefly for the Rangers. Sends it into the Islander end of the ice. He was a waiver pickup by the Canucks.
He was originally a Ranger drafted. Come out of the Western Hockey League in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. Home of Clark Gillies.
Of course, Michael Grabner would love to have played in this game because the Canucks are the team that made him a first-round pick. But Grabner missing tonight and Friday's game in Pittsburgh due to suspension. Rausgaard Henrik Sedin actually roughed up Colin McDonald a little bit there rather than vice versa. And it's Kessler now into the Vancouver zone, number 17 to the Islander line. They just do stay on side. Edler, the defenseman, was deep, now floats back into position as Martin looks to clear, connects with Cizikas. Met in center by Kessler. And wound around the boards by Edler.
Good tempo out here, Howie. Both teams able to get through the neutral zone with some pretty good speed.
And here comes Kessler shooting, and that one went wide, and then Nabokov has to pounce on the carom. Although Kessler, in trying to reach for that carom, drew the ire of Thomas Hickey, who chopped at him. So 8.5 gone in the first, 3 goals already. First for Nelson in the NHL, 2-1 New York. Brock Nelson got it started, and Molson made it 2-0 before Ryan Kessler got one back. So it's 2-1 Islanders midway through the first period. And next Wednesday, October 30th on MSG Network, the Knicks will open the season at the freshly transformed Madison Square Garden against the Milwaukee Bucks, presented by Chase. Live coverage gets underway with a special 1-hour Visa Knicks game night at 6:30. The Knicks season opener Wednesday, October 30th on MSG. Santorelli chased out of the faceoff. Jannik Hansen takes it instead against John Tavares. Little milestone for JT tonight, playing his 300th National Hockey League game.
Just the start. A brilliant career for John Tavares.
Now Hansen lets go a drive and missed wide all the way back of the blue line. It came to Hamhuis, who steers it around. Tanev fed it down low. Daniel Sedin looked to make a play, but McDonald wouldn't let him. Molson along to Tavares. And over the Vancouver line. Puck rescued at the last second there by Tanev. Fires it up the right wing for Hansen. Into the Islanders zone. Plays it all the way across. They score! And the Canucks, on a goal by Daniel Sedin, have tied the game 2-2.
Now those cross-ice passes are always tough to watch, but Hansen's just going to throw this across to Sedin, and Nabokov couldn't squeeze, get the handle. It looks like it just goes just up over the pad. And again, not a great start for Nabokov. Look at the quick, it's bouncing, it's rolling. It's a little bit like a knuckleball.
Do you think Butch might he have been leaning a little bit in concern of a pass going to the middle to Santorelli instead?
No, I think it was a quick pass, and I think he saw it all the way and came across and maybe moved across a little bit too quick. Sometimes you get there too quick and then you lose your angle. But again, just watching the reaction, Nabokov not happy with that goal that he gave up, and so that's two that he kind of hung his hat a little bit. So you're just wondering if, you know, if he's not off to that real good start, maybe suggest that they get another quick goal on that you might see Kevin Poulin, and I know it's early, but Brockhoff has not looked as sharp as we've seen him in this game.
2-0. Islanders has become 2-2. And just speaking of goaltending, Islanders have back-to-back games Friday and Saturday, so you've got to figure that Kevin Poulin will play one of them. I guess if you had to handicap it, you would say probably the one at home against the Flyers, with Friday night's game being in Pittsburgh. But that'll be Jack Capuano's call, and Poulin knows that he'll be ready whenever he gets that call. Sedin's third. That's Daniel Sedin from Hansen and Tanev at 9:09 has tied this game.
Well, we talked about Daniel Sedin being the scorer of the two. 41 plus goals, or 41 goals the 1 year. He's got a good snapshot. Well, that one there was a bit of a knuckleball. It might have fooled Nabokov just a little bit. And we talked about John Tavares playing his 300th game. Well, Hendrick has played in 639 consecutive games. So he's a bit of an Iron Man, and little wonder that they produce so well each and every year. Well, they're healthy. They play all the time.
That's the second longest active streak by just 2. Jay Bouwmeester has played in 2 more. Hartner fires it behind the net. Clutterbuck centers looking for Nelson. Brock Nelson has a goal in this game, his first in the NHL. And now Regan feeds the blue line. Thomas Hickey moves up. Hickey throws one to the net off the pads of Luongo.
Good move by Hickey. Changed the angle so he could get a shot on net. Otherwise, it would have been blocked easily from the point. Howie just slid down. He was able to get that shot almost to the net. You're right, it was blocked.
And now Edler back to play it for Vancouver. He gets hemmed in by McDonald. Cizikas there as well. Nobody controlling that 2-on-2 scrum until it's played loose for Richardson. And out come the Canucks. Sent in by Garrison. Former Florida Panther, and put to the front of the net, but batted away by McDonald. And held in at the blue line, and that long drive by Elder went wide.
Had everybody ducking. It was over the net. When you're a forward and you're standing in front of that looking for a deflection, the last thing you want to see is that high shot.
And Alex Edler let go a high shot. Now Hamonic plays one that ricochets off of Richardson and into the corner. 8:32 remaining here in the first period, with a score tied at 2. McDonald, a pinch, is able to scramble back to the line to keep it in before it's batted up the right wing for Cassian, number 9. And it's sent in by Zach Cassian, former first-round pick of the Sabres. Straight up the left wing for Molson.
Came to Vancouver in that trade for Hodgson, and now in Buffalo, young centerman.
Santorelli, who's given the Islanders fits primarily as a member of the Florida Panthers. This is Santorelli's 9th game against the Islanders. In the previous 8, he scored 4 goals. So, the goaltending, not the positive story yet. Tie game here, 7:58 left in the first. Now, Friday night on MSG Plus, it'll be the first visit by John Tavares and the Islanders to Sidney Crosby's house, with the Pittsburgh Penguins the opposition. Live coverage at 6:30 with Visa Islanders game night. Islanders Penguins Friday night on MSG Plus. Teams had a spirited first round playoff series last year, which went 6, with the Penguins winning game 6 in overtime here, but they have been regulars in the playoffs during the Crosby era. Off to a great start this year. Gabriel Landeskog, though, had something to say about them last night.
Yeah, that was a battle of really the top teams in the National Hockey League. Sidney Crosby running away right now with the Art Ross Trophy, and he's just piling up the points. But that was a terrific match last night between those two teams.
Did you see the game or parts of it anyway?
Yeah, just what parts of it.
Did you see the one little fake that Crosby put on Nathan McKinnon, also from Nova Scotia, and they worked out a little bit during the summer?
Well, they were talking about how much more intensity there would be to the game and the challenge. Both of them are very competitive individuals. Well, young Mr. McKinnon's one up on Mr. Crosby now. The bragging rights is what that's all about when you go home and you play in the summer a little bit.
It's a draw in Cole Harbour in Nova Scotia, but as you know, there are no ties in the National Hockey League, and that was a regulation time 1-0 win for the red-hot Colorado Avalanche under Patrick Watt.
He's thinking coaching's easy in the National Hockey League. What are they, 7-1? And the team's playing terrific. They have a lot of young talent, that's for sure. So they're 8, they now get their 8 wins. And they're just, as I said, they're making life look pretty easy. And they want to gather those fans back who were so good early on.
Andrew McDonald, let's go a drive. It's juggled by Luongo, and he holds on.
Now, one time you couldn't get a ticket in Denver to go see an Avalanche game, and then things kind of changed a little bit, but now the fans are back. There's a shot by Andrew McDonald, juggled by Luongo a little bit, but nobody in front of the net. You got to fight to get yourself in front of the net. You can't stand off to the side. Both Bouchard and Bailey have to make a better effort to get in and screen Luongo. Goaltenders are just too good when you get to score from 90 feet away.
7:26 remaining in the first period of a 2-2 game. Shots are 8-7 Vancouver. And that puck up the left wing. Grabbed by Hansen, and he sailed that one wide as he and Straight go in hard. Hansen a little slow to get up. He got the worst of it, and he's dangling his arm there. Meantime, he's got to get to the bench. The Canucks keep the puck. Tanev floats one wide, and Nabokov winds up doing the Canucks a favor, holding on to the puck. But it looks like Hansen's going to go right to the Vancouver room. Now remember, they have dressed 7 defensemen in this game, Hansen being a forward. And so, you're talking now about the potential if he can't come back. They're down to 10 forwards.
Yeah, he hits the right side. Watch Straight extend himself. Doesn't do anything illegal. Just gets the stick out in front. Tries to deflect it, but Hansen just loses his balance and goes into the net pretty hard, hurting that right side. Not sure if the shoulder or the arm, but definitely went off in some pain. And right, as you mentioned, Howie, right to the dressing room. So that's not a good sign for the Canucks.
Hamonic fires, decide by Luongo, kept in by McDonald of New York. The exit in the corner, sweeps one blindly around. Islanders keep the puck until Henrik Sedin is able to locate it and then mishandles it. A Poso to Molson. Good quick feed to Tavares. And now he banks it back to McDonald for a drive, and that's stopped by Luongo.
Yeah, on a deflection, Matt Molson got a big chunk of that shot from Andrew McDonald, but Luongo was in the perfect position right in the middle of the net.
The Exa puts it off Nabokov, and Hamonic was there, but unable to clear initially. And now it's a race, and it's a Poso going against Stanton, number 18. Stanton, the defenseman, knocked down. It's Ryan Hansen. Islanders keep it. Here's Hickey firing. Oh, and Luongo robs him with a brilliant glove save.
Well, an aggressive move by Luongo as Hickey was out in the high slot area. And you're right, that was a brilliant save by Luongo as he moves out. Watch the deflection. There's a shot. Mats Molson's stick gets in, knocks it back down. But look at Luongo right in the middle of the net. And there's the quick pass across. And look at that shot. Well, it was a great save. Wanted to be up higher. Thomas Hickey would have liked to have gotten that one up to the top of the net. Only got it about halfway up. But give Luongo credit for being aggressive, establishing his position, and then get to the top of the circle to make that nice, top of the crease, make that nice save.
You coached Luongo in his brief time with the New York Islanders. We'll get to that in a moment as Hickey has the puck knocked away. Now, he was just a pup when you had him. Did you see greatness in him?
Yeah, I really liked the way he played very well for me, but the one problem that he had is that he would stay in his net on opportunities like that. Well, you can see that over the years he's learned some real nice lessons. He knew that was a prime opportunity, and he had to cut the angle down, intimidate Hickey a little bit. He did a real nice job with that.
And I use the word great or greatness. I'm not sure that really applies to Luongo. He's been a terrific goaltender. I put him a little bit short of great, however you might define that. Martin's shot goes off the stick of Garrison and out of play. I mean, that's, food for
Well, I think you got to win a Stanley Cup before you can get up to the greatness.
Oops. Had one in his pocket and let it go. Oh, I mentioned a milestone tonight for John Tavares. This is his 300th National Hockey League game. And if you followed from the beginning, these numbers don't surprise you. If you're a casual fan, I think Butch, it's clear illustration of how JT just gets better and better and better.
We've been talking about it ever since the start of his career, just the way he approaches the game and what he does in the summer to make sure that he's better the following year. And just statistically, you can see that that's factual. And so what happens in the next 100 games? Well, you have to think that the numbers will continue to grow, and perhaps there's an Art Ross trophy in his bag somewhere down the road.
And you would think particularly as the team improves, some of the young players get better, perhaps others come from outside the organization, and You know, that's the kind of thing that can also help those numbers grow.
Well, there's absolutely. I mean, the more talent you have around you, the bigger your numbers are going to be. And all you have to do is look to some of the other teams.
Now it's Higgins, number 20, putting it right through the crease. Protected by Hamhuis. He threw it in front. Recovered by Bouchard for the Islanders with just under 5 minutes remaining here in the first period. Shots are even at 9. Goals are even at 2.
Islanders doing a much better job with their puck management, chipping it in and trying to establish a little bit of a forecheck.
And now Bailey doing just that. Drops it back to the blue line. Drive by Hickey is kicked out by Luongo. He saw that through traffic. Nielsen works it down low.
It's a good thing he's 6'2", 6'3", and be able to extend those legs long enough, because that was a well-meant shot by Thomas Hickey. But how did it all happen, Howard? Because of the forecheck. Josh Bailey was able to get the puck on the chip in and get it back to McDonald, then over to Hickey.
And now Hickey banks it in off the boards. Wound around by Edler. Flying off the bench was Cartner to keep that puck in, as the Islanders have changed. Hickey back out in center. 4 minutes to go in the period.
Matt Cartner just gives you that steady influence back there. He's big, he's strong. He can intimidate people a little bit. He's well respected in the league. And he knows his game. He doesn't come out of his element.
Also trying to come out of the corner, but Edler wouldn't let him. And Santorelli scoops it up the boards. Glove down by Hickey, but recovered by Santorelli. And now the Islanders getting more and more of the flow in this game in their favor.
Well, they're handling the puck better, keeping it deep, and then getting on and winning the one-on-one battles.
3:25 remaining in the period. Brian Strake for Nelson. And now Oposo brings it in, drops it back to Tavares. Surrounded in the slot, keeps going, and backhanded one that was blocked.
Looking for somebody to give the puck to, and he was just kind of surrounded, as you mentioned. And eventually, Santorelli would be able to stop him, but John Tavares, as we so often seen, just gets 4 and 5 guys around him when he gets that puck.
Here's Clutterbuck, not used to that kind of attention, moving it into the Vancouver zone. And Clutterbuck bumps with Stanton. Nelson goes after Richardson in the corner. Regan gets there too for the Islanders, number 16.
Good support in the corner by the Islanders, not getting outnumbered. It's been a solid period for me, Howie, with the Islanders, outside of the couple of quick goals that Vancouver scored. But I like the way the Islanders have established their pace in this first period.
Puck hops down at the Vancouver line. Pushed back into the zone, and now back to get it is Bieksa with 2:17 to go in the first. Cizikas, the lone Islander, in the Vancouver zone. As the Canucks move it out, it's Bieksa to the red line. And he twirls it around the boards. Hamonic bumped in the corner by the forechecking Higgins. And Hughes couldn't get it deep. He was backpedaling a bit. The Canucks recover the puck. They move in 3-on-2 as the Islanders get back. And one of those coming back, Matt Martin, pins the body on Henrik Sedin.
Islanders almost had a 2-on-1, and Vancouver turned it into a 3-on-2.
Tanev to Hamhuis. Hamonic missed it off the end boards. Nabokov cues it away. And Colin McDonald goes for a stroll to the Vancouver line. He needs to get to the bench on a change. So he plays it deep. Martin stays on for now with the Islanders changing. And Santorelli. Nice move on Bailey. Now works on Cartner. We got the stick out to loosen the puck. And a fling for Bailey. Dropped off to Bouchard. Back to Bailey into the Vancouver zone. Turns on Santorelli. Drops to Cartner. Fires one. And that's knocked down. Recovered. And a drive by Bailey. Knocked off the side of the net by Luongo. As we come down to the final minute of the first period. Good quick feed by Daniel Sedin to Weiss. And over the Islander line, Hickey slapped it away. Pace is really quickened over the final couple of minutes of this period. Nielsen scoops it in.
Well, the Islanders have done a nice job with the forecheck, and they're recognizing when they're able to carry it in, Howie, or when they have to chip it in. So they've been able to get some good offensive opportunities. Good ozone time, as they would say.
Half-minute remaining in the period. Driven back in by Straight. And Luongo lifts it away from the oncoming Tavares. Recovered by Molson. Now to Tavares. Checked by Edler. Keeps going. Help for Vancouver comes from Welsh. Pushed off the boards. Donovan faked the shot. That gets rid of Richardson. Now Donovan closes and shoots, and a save is made by Luongo. Down to 5 in the period. Oposo's got to hurry. Makes a move. Sanders batted away by the defense as time runs out of the first period. Good period here at the Coliseum. A milestone for an Islander. Matt Moulson has scored plenty of power play goals before. This is the milestone. Brock Nelson's first in the National Hockey League. The Islanders led 2-0. Nabokov gave up 2, and we're all even at the end of 1. And so in our forward intermission report, Peter will chat with Brock Nelson, who will reminisce about a goal he'll remember forever. And we'll take a look at the top 10 goals so far in the NHL, and Butchie and I will have the first period highlights. The forward intermission report starring Brock Nelson is next. Getting set to start the second period, our trivia question is brought to you by Cadillac. Now, the Vancouver Canucks have been to the National Hockey League since the 1970-71 season. They've never won the Stanley Cup. They have lost 3 finals, 2 in order: the Islanders, the Rangers, and the Boston Bruins. Your assignment, should you choose to accept it, is to name the starting goalies for the Canucks in each of those 3 final series appearances, and we'll have the answer for you a little bit later on.
That man there, Brock Nelson, scored his first goal. He'd like to be in his first Stanley Cup final.
So, and everybody in the orange and blue in this building tonight. North Shore LIJ, the official hospital of the New York Islanders, who start Josh Bailey again to take the opening draw against Kessler, with Nielsen and Bouchard the other Islander forwards, MacDonald and Hamonic the defense. And for Vancouver, Daniel Sedin, Henrik Sedin, and Ryan Kessler. And again, this Vancouver team might well be down to 10 forwards based on whether or not Hansen comes back. He went off with an apparent arm injury in that first period. At least it looked like the arm.
Yeah, we'll have to check the bench to see if he's on there. There's a lot of room on the bench. Number 36, Hansen. And that makes it tough sledding for everybody. When you have just 10 forwards, that's like playing in the International Hockey League. It was around a number of years ago. You only dressed 10 forwards. A lot of ice time for everybody, but if it's a physical skating game, it'll tire you out.
So the Canucks in the Islanders zone. Hamhuis threw it off of Oposo. Kyle Oposo down the wing. Luongo out of the net, and he steers it perfectly to his defense. Tanev, though, fails to clear. So going to work for the Islanders is Nielsen. He put it off the side, or pardon me, Tavares, who put it off the side of the net. And Santorelli works it ahead. Now comes Cassian. Now for Higgins. Cassian, number 9, leans into Brian Straight of the Islanders. Kept alive at the blue line by Tanev. And now Hamhuis spins it back in behind the net. Cassian worked over by Straight. And now Donovan working on Santorelli. So 2-on-2 in the corner.
Penalty, Howie. Looks like it's going to be on Brian Straight as he was checking on Cassian. Yes. Yep. Knocked his helmet off. And Brian Straight, no argument at all from him as he heads right to the penalty box. Check out the call. Doesn't matter, really. It's going to be a 2-minute penalty.
2 minutes high stick.
Well, it's a 2-minute high stick penalty. Watch number 37 in the corner with Cassian. There's the stick, comes up and clips him at the top of the helmet. You can see the helmet's knocked right off, and that's going to be a 2-minute penalty again. You got to be able to control your stick in the corner. A needless penalty. The Islanders, you know, you have to be, all players, not just the Islanders, but everybody has to be disciplined and really aware of where your stick, you know, may end up. And those are penalties you don't need to take, don't want to take.
Yes, intent is not factored into the rule, as Edler's drive hits and stuns Cizikas.
Looked like he caught that on the inside of his leg, and that did stun him a little bit.
Casey hanging in. Henrik Sedin to his brother Daniel. Now Edler at the blue line. Across for a one-timer by Garrison. Stopped by Nabokov. And loose behind the net. Neatly sent to the blue line to Edler. Walks the line off to Daniel. And now Henrik Sedin put it out in front, missed by Kessler. And out come the Islanders short-handed. Here comes Martin down the left wing. He shoots. Luongo the save. He started to juggle it, but now holds on. And the Islanders, while killing a penalty, will have a face-off in the offensive zone.
Well, a good move by Matt Martin. He took a little look at Cizikas. Cizikas moved to his right, tried to create himself a little time and space, but Matt Martin really couldn't make a play, so did the smart thing, just hung on to it, drove to the net, and got a good wrist shot. Getting the pat on the back from the assistant coach Doug Weight for the good effort. There's the good snapshot, and that caroms off of Sedin a little bit, and that made it a much more difficult save for Luongo, right off the ankle of Sedin. So that's why you should shoot the puck, Howie. You're never sure what's going to happen, and almost a shorty for the Islanders, Matt Martin.
Minute 12 remaining on the power play. Little feed towards Higgins is irrelevant, as you could hear the linesman John Grant shout offside.
Well, that's one of the differences between the Islander power play and the Vancouver power play. We talk about it all the time. Entry, you don't want to go offside. If you can carry the puck in and set yourself up, you're going to have your plays work a little bit better. You can see John Tortorella shaking his head because he knows that's important. You don't want to go offside on a power play.
We've seen that expression a few times over the years.
Well, he's a fairly animated coach, absolutely no doubt about it. But he understands that, you know, it's going to take time for his team to gel. It's a new coach, it's new players. It's a good road trip for him to get to know the guys a little bit better. And also for the players to get to know their coach a little bit better.
It's the 5th game of a 7-game road trip the Canucks are on.
Well, we always talk about road trips as a time to be able to build chemistry, especially when there's, you know, some new players and new coaching staff.
Cizikas let it go. Couldn't get the stick on it. Half minute to the Vancouver power play. Kassian and now Hamhuis. Straight on, it's Bieksa, risking one, looking for a deflection.
Got one, but it deflected over the net.
And the Islanders clear. And Luongo tracking the roller. Gets it to sit. And now with 10 seconds left to the power play, up comes Bieksa. He's surrounded. Off to Daniel Sedin. Down to 3 on the power play. Edler to Daniel. Put a little toe drag, but didn't get anywhere. Straights out of the box. Tavares carries the puck. John Tavares into the Vancouver zone. Wheels one to Okposo. Put it through the goal mouth. McDonald to Tavares. Down low, Okposo. Didn't get much on that, but Luongo knocked it down. And that'll be knocked down with a high stick.
Crazy hop out there. Luongo not sure where that puck was.
Don't very often see the goaltender the one responsible for hitting the puck with a high stick. And it's going to be a high sticking penalty, too.
Over 33, 2 minutes, high stick.
Henrik Sedin.
I'm not seeing that. Didn't recognize the penalty, but Luongo, good hand-eye coordination, just knocks the puck away. That was a little bit dangerous as Kyle Okposo was able to bounce that puck off of Hamhuis, but the captain of the team with a high sticking penalty. Not sure where that happened, Howie.
Now, we'll see if we could find it with the face-off in the Vancouver zone. The Islanders go to their second power play. And one thing to remember is McDonald lines up a shot that actually hits Molson. More of an elevated pass than anything else. Canucks have scored 3 shorthanded goals this year. They're dangerous in these spots. Tavares along the boards. Lost it to Richardson. Cleared all the way down by Hamhuis.
Good pressure by both Hamhuis
and the Islander power play is brought to you by the New York Lottery. Hey, you never know. McDonald's pass not held by Nielsen. Centering feed batted away. Comes back to Hamhuis. Looks for an opening. Finds one to clear the zone. McDonald moves it quickly, though. He and Nielsen the point men. Tavares, Okposo, Molson up front. Okposo to Molson. He shoots. He scores! Matt Molson, his second power play goal in the game. And the Islanders lead it 3-2.
Well, you just talk about pinpoint passing. And again, running their routes, as Doug Weight likes to say on the power play. Andrew McDonald gets it turned over right away at the far blue line. Look at Franz Nielsen, takes a look over to Kyle Okposo. That's a no-look pass because he knows Matt Molson is there. He's in the spot that he's supposed to be. And Matt Molson, the gifted goal scorer, well, he's usually in a little tighter to the net. But that's an amazing wrist shot. Got the head up, and he goes high over the glove of Luongo, who was aggressive enough to get to the top of the circle. But tremendous passing by the Islanders on their power play.
Well, for Molson now, that's 4 power play goals on the year. tying him with Alex Ovechkin and Patrick Marleau for the league lead. So the Islanders regain the lead, 3-2. Once again, Butch, as we talked about in the scene set at the very beginning of the show, the power play is what has the Islanders in business here.
Well, they're playing with so much confidence.
Luago stops it. It dribbles behind him. Taken off by Bieksa. Couldn't get much on that clearing attempt, so Straight keeps it in. Bieksa gloved it down, and this time just chips it out of the zone.
Well, Andrew McDonald won't get an assist on that power play, but he gathered the puck around the blue line on that clear by the Canucks and got it up in a hurry to Frans Nielsen, and that started the play.
So, 5 on the year from Molson, all but one have come with a man advantage. This one set up by Oposo at Nielsen at 4:48. Islanders now 2 for 2 on the power play, thanks to Mr. Molson.
Well, you knew you weren't going to keep him off the score sheet very long. He's just too good around the net and willing to pay the price. Well, he hasn't had to pay a huge price on those goals because that was a good wrist shot and then a quick couple of battles earlier on in the period to score one earlier.
Bailey drops to Nielsen. He circles the net and sent it into the corner. He thought somebody was going to be in front of the net. It was only Garrison of Vancouver.
Looking for that short side pass to Bailey. Bailey elected to go to the net.
And now Daniel Sedin relaxes the puck and starts the Canucks out of their own zone.
We used to see that short side pass all the time with Messier and Anderson so often.
And the linesman takes a seat. John Grant was knocked down. Daniel Sedin is shot deflects over the net and out of play. 6:09 gone in the second period. Matt Molson's having a party on the power play lately.
Happy birthday, Butch Goring.
He doesn't get older, he just gets better. You are one of 2 legends born on this day.
Oh my goodness. I can't imagine who the other one is.
Well, I'm going to tell you. He was born Jerome Harvitz. He later changed his name to Jerry Curly Howard of the Three Stooges. Do with that what you will. But one of the most brilliant comedians of any generation, Curly Howard, the late Curly Howard, would have been 110 years old, and he made it to today.
Not quite there yet.
So, but now look how much younger you are and how much more you've got to give.
Well, let me extend that one further. Let me wish my twin sister a happy birthday today also.
I never knew that. What's her name?
Bonnie. So I don't know if she's listening, but Bonnie, happy birthday.
Bonnie, you are a strong woman. Happy birthday to you.
I got all the looks, though.
That's not nice.
I didn't say she wasn't good looking. I just said I got all the looks.
Okay. Here's Peter Regan. The less we touch that, the better. As Stanton fires one back into center. I didn't think you were only 1 year older than Shaky. I thought Shaky was a few years older than you.
He looks a lot older than I do, though. He has not been preserved all that well.
Shaky Krause over on the Islander bench, their assistant equipment manager, also celebrated a birthday recently. Islanders up 3-2 here as the Canucks come through center. Cassian put it to the skates of Higgins, and a rebound left by Nabokov after a good save. The Islanders can't get out. Now the Canucks look to set up. It's Cassian wheeling to the slot and sliding one wide. Hamhuis in deep. Put it out in front off Nabokov. He took some contract. The puck poked in. And the Canucks score. Nabokov was knocked down. And the Canucks credited with a game-tying goal. Looks like it's going to be Cassian's. And the game is tied 3-3. Now the officials are talking about it here. And I'll be interested to see if there's any kind of change of mind based on how the contact with Nabokov was initiated. We'll get a chance to look at it, but the officials are going to huddle up and talk about this.
Yeah, did he use his stick to knock the puck in, Howie? That's the other thing, but it looked like there was some interference, like Nabokov didn't really have an opportunity to establish his own position and to play the puck like the goaltender ought to be able to do when you're in so tight to the crease. So I'm sure they're going to review this goal.
Kyle Oposo saying they're waving it off.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Again, now watch, there's the wrist shot, and everybody heads towards the net on this rebound attempt. Watch the Canucks.
No goal.
And that's interference. That's why they're calling it. Because Cassian his teammate was in the net and took off Nabokov. So Nabokov couldn't make his play. Watch in front of the net. There's number 25, Santorelli. He's in the net. He's knocked Nabokov over, and Kassian comes in and hits that shot. So that's why the play is waved off, because no opportunity to make a save.
Two Canucks effectively collided with Nabokov. Kind of like that rule in the Jet game the other day. Well, in this case, one Canuck pushed another one into Nabokov.
Yeah, and really negated any opportunity for Nabokov to react to the puck or the shot of Kassian. So it's a good call by the referees. A huge break for the Islanders because, again, the Canucks seem to go in spurts, and Jack Capuano talks about that all the time. You got to handle the spurts of the opposition because they're going to be there.
And again, the initial call on the ice was goal. Drive by Hamonic is stopped by Luongo. But
well, I think you have to call the puck. That, if it's in the net, I think you have to call it a goal. That's just really obvious, Howie.
Well, then you saw the officials come together, and they got it right.
Well, again, watch the front of the net, and there's 25, Santorelli, and he just goes right into the crease, and then Kassian makes a nice move to sweep it back in, but Santorelli has no excuse for being in the crease of Nabokov there. He wasn't pushed in by an Islander, might have been edged in by his own teammate. But a good break for the Islanders and a nice call by the referees as they were able to communicate. And that was the beautiful thing there, not making a rash decision and just being unilateral decision making. They talked about it.
Tavares stepped in front of by Kessler. And the puck back in the corner. Andrew MacDonald wheeling Daniel Sedin around. And now it's Henrik Sedin shoved by the stickless Andrew MacDonald, whose stick snapped in the corner. Now Amac gets one. Got it from Tavares. And the resultant icing will get everybody their equipment back and bring the face-off deep into the Islanders' zone.
Nabokov thinking, I can't ice the puck. I can't shoot it that hard. I'll just dump it out. Saw the opening wide open. Unfortunately, slid all the way down for him. But it's a good play because it allows Andrew MacDonald, to retrieve a new stick from the bench and gives the guys a little bit of a rest.
So the draw deep in the Islanders' zone. It'll be Welsh against Tavares. And Hamhuis. It only seems like Hamhuis is on the ice the entire time.
Well, that's because he does play an awful lot of minutes.
At 5:58 in the first period, which doesn't about even begin to really sum it up. It seemed like he was out there about 8 or 9 or even 10 minutes of the first period.
Well, he's always involved. He's involved defensively. He's a terrific defenseman in his own zone, and he gets up the ice and creates some offense. So little wonder why, you see him all the time. I always say, Howie, you've heard me say it a number of times, if you're mentioning his name in your broadcast, that means you're having a good game. If you don't hear from anybody, usually means you're not doing a whole lot.
Well, now Santorelli and Cizikas will draw in the Islanders' zone. Again, the Canucks playing with 7 defensemen dressed tonight. And they did dress 11 forwards. They're down to 10 with the injury to Hansen. And we haven't really seen a whole lot of Andrew Alberts, who is effectively the 7th defenseman.
So they're certainly down in numbers. Kessler played the most minutes for the Canucks in the first period. He played over 8. I don't think that number's going to come down at all.
Alberts had 1 shift in the first period. Now Santorelli right back into the Islanders' zone. Rubbing it off to Kassian, who takes after it with Martin.
Islanders have to be a little stronger on the blue line. A couple of times they had the puck right at the blue line, and Vancouver retrieved it, fought back.
MacDonald pushes one into the Vancouver zone. Gets back to it. Sets up Donovan in front. Luongo. Robbery on Nelson. Nelson that close to his second goal. Roberto Luongo with a great save.
Donovan jumping up on the play. That's what the Islanders want to see. Again, look at Donovan. He just gets his head up in time. If he could have done it a little bit sooner, half a second, it would have been able to give Nelson. Look at Nelson. Needed to slow down there. Maybe even stop at those hash marks. Would have given him a little bit better angle, Howie, to maybe shoot the puck. He got in a little tight to Luongo. A big save by Luongo to keep this a 1-goal game. What a nice play by Donovan to jump up and forecheck.
Nice feed by Daniel Sedin to Kessler, and the shot partially eaten up by MacDonald's stick. And the puck held by Nabokov, and pushing and shoving behind the Islander net.
And Nabokov seems to be settling down. He's a vet. To me, the puck's bouncing on him a little bit. He's not as sharp, not handling the puck as well as we have seen in the early part of the season. But the beauty of Nabokov, he's been around. He knows you're going to have ups and downs even as a goaltender. So he's going to forget about the past, and he's going to concentrate on the present and just worry about what he does from this point on. So expect him to have a good, strong second half of the game.
So the draw deep in the Islanders zone. Kessler wins it back to the blue line. Harrison to Sedin. First Daniel and now Henrik. He was dumped by Hamonic, but a penalty coming up to the Canucks here. Hamonic thought it was on him.
Yeah,
I don't know if you'll get a chance to see this. He looked up, he saw the referee had his arm up. He thought it was the takedown that he initiated, and Hamonic kind of looked up in disgust thinking he was going to get the penalty.
And
now it's John Tortorella.
Yeah, Hendrick, and I was watching the play. I thought right away, well, I don't like this call that's going to happen, so good for the referees making the right call. Travis Hamonic's going to battle Hendrick. Sedin, watch theirs. And again, that's just a hold by Sedin as he grabs the stick and pulls it up. That's an old Charlie Simmer play. Get the stick, pull it in tight, make the referee think that the other guy did the wrong thing, and that's what Sedin tried to get away with.
So the penalty at 9:51 for holding the stick. And from the draw, it's blasted all the way down by Hamhuis. He and Tanev are the defense. Santorelli up front along with Richardson. The Islanders going with Tavares, Oposo, Molson, Nielsen, and McDonald. The Islander power play brought to you by the New York Lottery. Hey, you never know. Back in the Islander zone, it's McDonald.
I was just going to say, Howie, if you're John Tortorella, you're scared to death of this power play right now. They scored a couple of quick goals on it already.
And icing call, despite the fact the Islanders were on the power play. And Oposo not expecting the icing there, played the puck. Wants to know what's up.
Yeah, that's that hybrid icing, and most of the GMs will tell you that they like it, but needs to be tweaked here and there. I think that's one of the tweaks, because Kyle Oposo was clearly going to get to that puck first, and so why is that icing? That's the one part of the game that I agree with. If you got the guy and he's going to get there first, shouldn't be icing.
Now McDonald behind the Islander net. 40 seconds gone on their power play.
Higgins falls, so now it's a 5-on-3 almost.
Higgins getting back as the Islanders control the puck in the Vancouver zone. Andrew McDonald to Molson. Off now to Nielsen. Molson tried to play it across. That was batted away by Bieksa.
Yeah, he's looking for John Tavares all the way across.
There he is. He draws Higgins down, feeds McDonald, fired it wide. Big Karen, pitch behind the net. Now out to the blue line. McDonald's got it there. 49 to the power play. Franz Nielsen to the slot. Oposo was too well covered, and the puck cleared all the way down by Smithtown Higgins.
Yeah, that was a play designed to go from Nielsen to Kyle Oposo to John Tavares on the back door, but good penalty killing by the Vancouver Canucks, denying that pass to go all the way across.
28 to go to the Islander power play. Here's Cal Clutterbuck. Round to the blue line. Donovan. Off to Bailey. He put it off the skates of Santorelli. And the Canucks clear again. Shots are 17-14 Islanders in the game. Islanders 10 seconds left on the power play. Bouchard to Donovan, moving up. He feeds Regan, shoots, and he hit the post. Regan fans on the rebound as the penalty ends. Out of the box is Sedin. Long drive tipped wide by Clutterbuck. No shots credited to the Islanders on that power play.
Matt Donovan looked very good on that power play. A couple of real good decisions with the puck. First setting up Regan, who hits the post with really a wide open net. Just has to get it up.
Martin knocked it down and shot it wide. And Bieksa turning against Cizikas. 7:41 to go, second period. 3-2 New York.
Fans getting into it a little bit, Howie, and that'll generate a little more energy for the Islander players.
Icing call. And they'll bring it deep into the Vancouver zone. Here's how close they came to making it 4-2.
There's the Regan and post, and you can see that Luongo's out of position. He's down. He's spread eagle in the right play there. And I guess, look at watch Regan. He knows right away where he wants to go with it. To get it up in the air. Knows Luongo's going to come across. Probably going to cover low. Nice setup, but that was Donovan's cross-ice pass.
Did you know that Luongo went looking for an apartment the day of the game? Is that really true?
That's what I had heard. Or you're young, you're not sure, you're not worried about what's going on. You know, when you're a junior hockey player, you don't worry about those things.
Parker's shot went wide. Just to tee up that story, when Luongo was a rookie with the Islanders, oh, here's Daniel Sedin with Henrik. Daniel pulls a man down, shoots one loose. Henrik a shot, and he scores. Henrik Sedin finishes a 2-on-1, and the Canucks tie the game 3-3.
Quick 2-on-1 for the Canucks. Islanders lost the players, both Sedin. Watch the quick pass all the way up, as you can see, right through as Henrik Sedin gets in behind, and now he's got just too much time. And then eventually Henrik is going to push it in. But to Sedin, they both look the same. The numbers are almost the same, Howie. They're both wearing 2s and 3s, but eventually it's going to be Henrik that gets it in.
That's a great play. That he banked it off Nabokov intentionally.
That's nothing else that he had left for him. But that was a 2-on-1 that was way too easy for the Canucks. Islanders got trapped in that play. Defensemen lost their men.
So 3-3 the score, the third of the year from
too many men there. Boy, Canucks got away with one.
Poso to Tavares, leans in, backhands, hit the side of the net. Looked like he might have been hooked on the way in, but that's a strong play driving to the net by John Tavares.
Found the energy and the strength to get past Garrison. No easy task.
And here's Cassian down the right wing for Vancouver. Zach Cassian trying to shake loose of Donovan. Finds a little space. Now to Edler. Throws one that deflects off the side of the net. Kessler batting away. Nabokov's got it. He holds on. And we'll step out here. Henrik Sedin from Daniel Sedin and Bieksa at 12:39 to tie it. 3-3 game here late in the second period. Let's take a look at the Islanders' upcoming schedule presented by Lexus. They'll be in Pittsburgh on Friday night, and then right back here on Saturday night to face the Flyers. And then, believe it or not, on Tuesday, the Rangers make their only appearance of the year at the Coliseum, because that outdoor game on January 29th at Yankee Stadium will be an Islander home game. And it was the only other scheduled game between these teams those teams anyway, at the Coliseum this year, and it's been moved to the Bronx.
And all teams in your own division with Pittsburgh, Flyers, and Rangers. So those will be intense games. The Islanders will have absolutely no trouble getting up to play those three teams.
I want to go back to the Luongo story real quickly now that we have a moment. Roberto Luongo played 24 games with the Islanders in the 99-2000 season as a 21-year-old. And, well, one of the reasons that, I don't know if it's urban legend or actual truth, has it is that he was traded in part because they didn't think his focus, or Mike Milbury, the GM, didn't think his focus was where it should have been on the game, that he went apartment hunting the day was scheduled to play. Can that, I mean,
that doesn't make any sense to me, Howie, and I'll tell you why. When you're a junior hockey player, you go to school, you eat your meal about 5 o'clock, and you show up at the rink about an hour before you're ready to play. So I would suggest that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. A little longer, maybe he wasn't even playing that night.
Well, here's Franz Nielsen across to McDonald, and that's deflected away. Yeah, that was a tough one to sell.
Now, the big reason I think they traded Luongo was that Mike Milbury decided he was going to draft Rick DiPietro.
Rick DiPietro, at least for the time being, out of hockey right now. The Islanders bought him out over the summer. Bieksa up the left wing. Pushed in by Weiss. And recovered now in the Islanders zone by Parker. Haven't heard word one about Ricky since the Islanders let him go. Hand pass stopping play there.
No, I have not either. And wish Rick good luck in whatever endeavors he gets himself involved with.
5:38 left in the second. Let's get him to the team store and get the contemporary stuff, the new stuff. Meantime, tomorrow night on MSG, the Knicks continue the preseason against the Bucks. Live coverage gets underway at 8. Knicks preseason basketball live from Green Bay, Wisconsin, tomorrow night on MSG.
I'm a little bit old school, Howie. I like the jersey on the left. That was more the original color. I'm not a big fan of all the new jerseys, regardless of whether they're Islander, Ranger, Kings. I like the original stuff.
You mean third jerseys?
I don't like third jerseys. Yeah. I don't like new ones.
Well, we know why they exist, and one reason only. And it's got nothing to do with anybody clamoring for them. Here's Cizikas into the zone. Now to Kartner, a drive goes wide. These jerseys the Islanders are wearing tonight, those are the only ones they should ever wear. They are classic as classic gets. And they've only got 4 Stanley Cups worth of tradition woven into them.
That's a good reason right there.
Yeah. Kartner in the corner. But let's face it, it's a new world. And
It's not up to you and I.
nope. Nope. Here's Kartner. Up for Martin. And McDonald slips it into the corner. Now Cizikas tries to put it to the front of the net. Cizikas waits.
Stanton without a stick, number 18 for the Canucks.
McDonald's drive blocked through traffic by Luongo. And out come the Canucks. Higgins in over the line. Kassian overskates it. Tries to smack it back towards the corner. Couldn't get it there, and the Islanders look to counter. McDonald up to the Vancouver line. Hamhuis knocked it away. Tanev stepped into by Molson. 4:20 to go in the second period. And in comes Santorelli with a drop to Higgins, who shot deflects out of play.
Islanders gave the Canucks just a little bit too much respect on that play. Higgins was able to get that puck inside the blue line with a lot of room, deflected albeit by the Islander defenseman Travis Hamonic. But again, we always talk about gap control. The Islanders have to make sure they don't give the forwards for the Canucks too much respect. Stay up on the play, force them to have to chip it in rather than carry it all the way in with a good shot on net.
Kessler and Oposo turn each other around. And the Islanders recover the puck. Here comes McDonald up to the Vancouver line. Tried to connect with Molson, couldn't do it. And now Daniel Sedin has trouble with a typically wobbly puck on this ice surface. Henrik Sedin towards the net, and that's stopped by Nabokov.
I was talking to John Tavares today about the inconsistent players, seemingly inconsistent wins for the Islanders, winning one, losing one, tying one. And he was talking about the details of the game, Howie. And there's a little detail of that right just there with Andrew McDonald. No real play, chip it in behind the net, allow the Islander forwards to get after it. Instead, he tries to make a very difficult pass. They turn around and they come back with an offensive opportunity. Those might not seem like they're big things, but they all add up. And Tavares was saying that, the team has to be better at that, have more patience and stick to the game plan, particularly with the little details.
Oh, Richardson wrapped one right through the goal crease. The Islanders come out. McDonald tripped up by Weiss and nothing called. As Edler failed to get it out. Here's McDonald. Now to Straight. He fires. Pad save, and the rebound pushed wide by Martin. Ryan Straight looking for his first NHL goal. Already have one tonight by an Islander from Brock Nelson. And that last one deflects out of play.
Yeah, that was the Donovan shot. Matt Martin in front of the net. I believe it went off of him. We'll see where the face-off is, whether he did get a part of it. But the defensemen have been very active for the Islanders. All 6 of the guys have had opportunities, offensive shots towards the net. They jumped up in the play. They've created 3-on-2, so they've done a real nice job. This is as good a group as I've seen them get into it, activate, as we used to hear from Billy Jaffe. Good stuff there.
He was ahead of his time. All the coaches are using it.
Yeah, activate.
Well, they'll activate the clock once the pucks drop. Mentioned Brian Straight looking for his first goal in the NHL. This is his 40th career game, and he's out there now along with Matt Donovan on defense for New York.
Yeah, you don't want to be the last guy on the team with the big 0 standing beside you with those goals. So particularly more so if you're a forward, but defensemen like to get on the scoreboard also.
And Donovan behind the Islander net. Tough play for Nelson to do anything with as he was angled to the boards. But now Clutterbuck for Regan, and then Nelson tees it up. Has it blocked. Got it again and shot it wide.
Donovan's been really joining the rush in today's game. Talked to him also about getting another opportunity to play. And he's been watching the last couple of games from the higher up than he'd like to be. And so he's really learned some good things in areas of the game that he has to improve. And the confidence and keeping his gap control. We always talk about that, and it's not easy, Howie, if you turn the puck over, then the defensemen lose that distance between the oncoming forward themselves. But he says, I need to get up on the play more. I need to relax and just play my game. And boy, he's doing a nice job tonight, as we've seen him a number of times up inside the blue line.
Well, what would you think? Would it benefit him? I'm sure it would. It's really more an obvious thing than anything, but he would almost have to get 10 a dozen games in a row if he's really going to find the sea legs and get comfortable in this league, don't you think?
Well, absolutely, and the confidence to try the different things. You know, when you're sort of trying to establish yourself on the team, and there's someone sitting right behind you ready to take your spot, you're a little bit tentative. But now he knows, you know, that really there's the 6 guys out there. They're going to play. So this gives him an opportunity to settle in and establish his own game and play with an awful lot of confidence in tonight's game.
Tanev going to the corner. Wound around, but not out. Islanders recover. Bouchard to McDonald. He steps up, shoots, pants save Luongo. And Kessler fires it rink wide to Daniel Sedin. Minute 50 to go in the period. With the score tied at 3, the Islanders about shot the Canucks 23-18. McDonald dug it loose. Bailey didn't clear. Kessler knocked it down. Daniel Sedin. Out now to Bieksa. Sedin to Henrik Sedin. Puts it alongside the net. Kessler pushed it wide. Daniel to Bieksa. Daniel Sedin. They've got big Kessler in front. The shot goes right through the goal mouth. Backed up by a pinching Bieksa. Hours away from Bailey. Looks for a play. Nabokov down. He tries to jam it home, and Nabokov's got a dive on top of it.
Tough play for Nabokov when the puck is in behind the net. You can't really look over your shoulder because then you leave the whole front open. So you got to try and get yourself to the angle while protecting the post. Bieksa, as a right-hander, came out his strong side. And Nabokov made a good power move to slide back and take away that short side attempt. Look at Bieksa. Tries a quick jam, uses quick feet there. Travis Hamonic helps out his goaltender. But the key for Nabokov is to get that right foot up against the post and don't allow Bieksa to jam it in.
So from the draw, Brian Straight with a pass that didn't reach Nelson cleanly. We're down to the final minute of this second period of a 3-3 game. Alaposo across to Nelson. He closes in and has his shot partially gobbled up by Bieksa's stick. And now Richardson sends Kessler on his way.
As Brock Nelson becomes more comfortable with this league, he'll think about shooting it earlier, getting that shot through and on the net. Waited a little bit too long.
Donovan checked by Kessian. Oposo turned around by Kessler. Nelson looking to clear. And now Oposo just nudges it out of the zone. 27 to go in the period. Bieksa didn't play it in to the Islanders zone the first time. Now he's able to bring it in himself. Throws one in front. And they score. Higgins. Chris Higgins has given the Canucks a 4-3 lead.
Well, it looked like a harmless play, a harmless shot from the outside, and the rebound off of Nabokov goes right to Higgins as he's just cruising in around the tops of the circle. And Islanders really had control of the game the last 5 minutes. It was in the middle of the ice. The Islanders couldn't get it done, but Bieksa just throws it harmlessly towards the net, and Nabokov doesn't control the rebound. Goes right on Higgins' stick, and it's a quick 4-3 lead for the Canucks with just 17 seconds. The Islanders had really dominated the last 5 or 6 minutes. All kinds of offensive opportunities, good ozone time. All that doesn't matter now.
9 goals for Higgins in 24 games against his hometown team. Final 8 seconds of the period. Cizikas back to the blue line. Hamonic, he shoots, and that went wide as McDonald fires one around the boards. Time runs out. And at the 1942 mark of the second period, the third of the year for Chris Higgins has given Vancouver a 4-3 lead at the end of 2 periods.
Yeah, that's why you always tell your guys, when you don't know what to do with it, just shoot it. That was a harmless shot by Bieksa, but it does give Higgins a goal and his team the lead.
For the first time in this game.
For the first time. And the Islanders played a good, solid second period there, Ollie. So they just have to continue on. You can't worry about the score. Bucks do go in every once in a while. They had their chances, and they'll continue to get more chances, but they just continue to play the same way.
And so we'll hear from Chris Higgins, who chats with Peter in our intermission report coming up next. Let's take you around the league and look at highlights of this one. Islanders had a good start. Canucks battling back a couple of times to tie. And then Higgins with a go-ahead goal late in the second period. And so we get set for the third period. And we'll revisit our Cadillac trivia question for tonight. That's one of the 3 starting goalies for the Canucks in their 3 Stanley Cup Finals appearances. There's quite a bit of irony, Butch, in the first one. A guy who was known as the King, Richard Brodeur, and yet it's Marty Brodeur, no relation, who in fact is the king of goaltending in the National Hockey League with more wins all time than anyone.
Well, he had an unbelievable run with the Vancouver Canucks, right? A former Islander. And, had an opportunity to play in the Stanley Cup Finals, but couldn't get the job done against our Islander team of 81-82.
Which was a 4-game sweep. The only one of the 4 that the Islanders did not win here at the Coliseum.
Of course, we remember the Mike Bossy goal in overtime, served up by Mr. Harold Snips.
McDonald to drive, and that one goes wide. Islanders with Nielsen, Bailey, and Bouchard up front. Sedin twins and Kessler. The line for Vancouver. And Edler, number 23, sweeps one rink wide to Kessler, who gets to the Islander line and sends the puck in.
Just watching Frans Nielsen handle the puck, not a lot of strength on those hands. And an interesting thing to note, how he hasn't taken any face-offs. Bailey has taken all the face-offs, so it leads you to wonder, you know, is there something wrong with the wrist, or just not feel like he's not doing a good enough job on the face-offs?
It goes back to the opening face-off of this game and in each of the 3 periods.
Exactly.
Nabokov with a kick save on that long drive by Higgins. And now Donovan up for Oposo, but it's stolen and sent right back into the corner by Higgins. Now Tavares has it cut off, and Hamhuis drives one through to Nabokov.
A couple of errant passes for the Islanders in the defensive zone.
Cassian to Richardson. He didn't snap that one through the check of Molson. And Bieksa backs up to the Vancouver line.
We'll see if this Vancouver Canucks team plays a little bit like the Rangers do in the 3rd period. When they have a lead, they become very tough checkers, a lot of trapping, not much aggressive offensive play.
A pileup allows Regan to grab the puck. Nelson overskated the carom off the boards. Clutterbuck working in the corner. Richardson and Kartner get there together. But the Canucks clear. And on a fresh sheet of ice, this one rolls a little quicker, but not quick enough to get to or across the goal line before Regan can get there. And now Regan lost it in center. And the Canucks go the other way. Daniel Sedin to Kessler. Blocked by Hickey. Hickey scrambles back to his feet and leaves the puck behind the Islander net. Kartner gave it away to Daniel Sedin. And now Hickey banks it off the boards, and up comes Clutterbuck. Lost it in center to Henrik Sedin, and the Canucks take over. Matt Martin now trying to get away from Kessler. Wheels one to the net that Luongo stops. Squirts back out. Colin McDonald shot it wide. Andrew McDonald to Cizikas. That went off of Henrik Sedin. And he sends one a little wide for Kessler, but he recovers, brings it into the slot, but the combination of Hamonic and Martin take care of him, and the puck caroms out of play. And Kessler goes back at Martin. I wonder if Ryan Kessler might have gotten himself in trouble for that one.
There are 17s going at it, but Matt Martin saw an opportunity to hit Kessler as he was coming across the ice, looking at the net, thought he might be able to get a pretty good lick on him. Matt Martin doesn't need to have a great opportunity to hit you. We all know that, but that's an opportunity that the players look for. There's Martin, look at, and he gets a pretty good knock on Kessler, knocking him down. So that's a vulnerable position that Kessler put himself in to get that shot away. And as a forward, you like to take advantage of those opportunities.
And Martin's eyes bulged when he saw that. The Canucks win the draw. And his shot didn't get through. And Tanev back at his own blue line to sweep it back out to center, and then a hand pass against the Islanders stops play.
That was more like self-preservation for Brian Stray. The puck was up in the air, and Higgins coming towards him, so really just wanted to bat it out of the way and protect himself. You got a little sloppy play by both teams in the neutral zone, several turnovers, and that's an area that the Islanders have to be better than the Canucks in this 3rd period if they're going to find a way to win this game, is not turn the puck on the neutral zone, chip it in when you have to, or carry it in. But certainly don't make mistakes in that area.
Saw John Tortorella there, and just before the period, he was having a discussion with both referees one at a time, and I have no idea what the topic of that could have been. but at one point John looked a little agitated about something.
Allegedly one of the penalties or lack of.
Not going to change that now. Maybe he's trying to buy a call for this third period, or a non-call, as the case might be.
Well, you got to work the referees once in a while and just sort of alert them that they're, you're paying attention.
Hickey going down, gave it away to Cassian, wheels it back to Higgins, and he went wide, and he had Santorelli going to the net too.
I'm not sure that Cartner didn't get his right leg on it as he went down and sprawled out a little bit. And turnover by the Islanders is exactly what I was talking about, how you got to stay away from those situations.
Higgins, a good move on Cartner, a power drive to the net, and then the puck is pushed wide.
Higgins likes to play on Long Island, obviously. Probably some friends and family here.
It's off the side of the net for Stanton. Played it up high off the boards, recovered by Hamonic. And now Nielsen into the Vancouver zone, off to Bailey. He's shown a seat by Weiss. Bouchard feeds the blue line. Hamonic, wrist shot, went wide. Big Karam comes to Weiss, and he'll turn away from Islander checking. Long pass deflected away.
Richardson was in or ahead of the puck.
Delayed offside now, wiped. And Hamonic back in the Islander zone. Hamonic and McDonald, the Islander defense pair for now. Hamonic being hassled by Richardson. Moved it up to Regan, who throws it into the corner. Regan goes after Stanton. Takes the hit, works it around to the near side. That was Henrik Sedin. And Nelson trying to keep it in right at the line there before it's poked out of the zone. Daniel Sedin waits at the boards. Up to Kessler. Get a little touch feed to Henrik. And over the Islander blue line. Henrik Sedin hits the trailer. And the shot by Edler turned aside.
Yeah, no one picked up Edler. Sedin was able to create a little time and space and hit Edler in full stride. Good shot on net. Nice save by Nabokov. Islanders have to be aware of that defenseman jumping up in the play.
Henrik Sedin slowly at center. Just throws one into the corner. He'll need to get to the bench as the Canucks are changing. And now Hamonic comes to center. Hamonic to the Vancouver line. Hamonic on the rush. He's done that a bit more frequently as of late.
Tried to go back to his forehand, get a shot on net. And a nice rush by Travis.
McDonald leaves it for Hamonic. He's bumped by Higgins. Molson misses. Icing call. Bring the face-off back into the Islander zone.
Andrew McDonald mad at himself for not making a better play. Short side passes are tough to be able to control it. But Edler coming up late, gets by. And that good shot on Nabokov. Good aggressive save. You can see Nabokov, as I said earlier on, he's a veteran. He'll shake off the first and second period. Wasn't his best, but he'll have a strong third. They can mull it over in those goals in between periods, but ready to go. Nice save.
Cizikas has been thrown out of the draw. Molson will take it instead against Ryan Kessler, who wins the face-off, but it's slapped off the stick of Daniel Sedin by Hamonic. And now Cizikas chasing Tanev in the Vancouver zone. Henrik Sedin waits at center and throws a knuckleball at Nabokov that the Canucks recover. Henrik Sedin to Kessler against Molson. Little slip feed to Henrik. Kessler let it go to Daniel. Henrik into the corner. Now to Daniel, and then Tanev for a shot with Nabokov way out. Kessler was trying to redirect it. And the puck recovered by Tavares with a post-up, but it's slapped away, and this will be an icing against the Vancouver Canucks, and they'll bring the face-off into the Canuck zone.
Nice job of cycling by that Canuck trio, supporting one another. You can see where the Sedins are so effective. They pass, and then they move into another hole so they can get that return pass. Watch the give and goes. Well, there's a shot on net as Nabokov is very aggressive and bounces off. Kessler was in front of the net, but before that, the Twins and Kessler did a nice job of rotating, supporting, and controlling the puck in the offensive zone. At this point in time, that's all you really need to do. Keep the puck in the offensive zone. You've got the lead right now. You don't have to do anything else.
So the face-off deep in the Vancouver zone. Kessler comes on.
Trying to buy a little extra time. Took his time getting to the face-off.
And from the draw, Hughes tried to muscle it out of the zone, couldn't do it, but nor could Hickey reach the puck. So Hickey has to cut back to his own blue line, sends Bouchard ahead for a drive that's eaten up by the stick of Welsh and carries out of play. 12:23 remaining, third period on the island. Point of the game is brought to you by Lexus, continuing the pursuit of perfection. Now still 12:23 to go in the third period, but this is where it's changed to this point.
Well, that's the harmless shot towards the net by Bieksa, and Higgins cruising in gives his Canuck team a lead of 4-3 after 2, and it's holding up at this point in time. So that's the Lexus turning point, no doubt about it.
So Josh Bailey draws with Santorelli, and Bieksa shoots one that looked to have deflected out of play. It did.
Now, just let me talk a little bit about John Tortorella. I want to wish his son Dominic well, as he's a member of the U.S. Army in the Ranger section, and he'll be going over to Afghanistan. So we certainly want to wish him well. You know, it'll be a nervous time for the Tortorella family when he is over there.
You bet, but good luck and Godspeed, Dominic Tortorella.
Exactly.
Josh Bailey in the corner. Round to Bouchard. He's checked by Bieksa. Higgins against Franz Nielsen, who works it back to Donovan. Flips it back in behind the net. Bieksa. On to Santorelli. Good play by Kevin Bieksa.
He had a strong game, a couple assists. He's always very active from an offensive standpoint. That big goal he scored a while back against San Jose. Remember that late in the game?
Yep.
And that crazy icing call.
Here's straight now. Checked by the combination of Bieksa and Higgins. Bailey brought it back in for Bouchard. Mark Bouchard checked by Stanton.
Fans trying to get the Islanders going a little bit. Hopefully they can generate a little bit more offense. Kind of like a quiet game right now between the two teams, so the fans are trying to pick up the pace.
And Bieksa looks like he's iced it here, and he has. So they'll bring the face-off back down to the Vancouver Canucks zone. They were trying to get a change, but they can't because of the icing.
John Tortorella on the ice with an offensive face-off after 2 periods. He was 9 and 3.
He's going to call the timeout because that line couldn't get off.
They've been out there a while, and face-offs at this point or any time in the third period are crucial. Tortorella wanting to make sure his troops are as ready as they can be. They'll talk it over. But again, like I said, John Tavares has been very good on the face-offs.
Friday night on MSG Plus, John Tavares and the Islanders take on Sidney Crosby and the Penguins. Live coverage gets underway at 6:30 with Visa Islanders Game Night. Islanders and Penguins Friday night on MSG Plus.
Tavares has kept his point-scoring streak alive and love to add to it right now. The Canucks are a good hockey club. They had good success over the last 2-3 years. Won the President's Cup, so they are capable of holding on to a lead. Islanders want to try and find a way to get the puck past Luongo. Got to continue to have patience, Howie, and do the right things.
And now Oposo plays it deep, and the Canucks can make their change. Drive by Hamonic, flicked away. It's got some of that change in, but with the puck in their zone, only now, as it comes out, will they finish it. And Cassian sends it in. Daniel Sedin checked by McDonald. Molson in there too. And it's Oposo up to Molson. And Molson throws it into the corner. And Hughes saw Hamonic coming. So Hamonic's got to hustle back on defense. And up comes Daniel Sedin for a little flick in. Henrik goes after McDonald, who turns away from him. And then there's Daniel. And McDonald under a lot of pressure from the Twins. Kessler in to help out for Vancouver. Daniel snaps it around the boards. Hamhuis steers it back behind. Hamonic on Henrik Sedin. Now Daniel curling, waiting. Put it between his legs, and it winds up on Andrew MacDonald's stick.
Andrew MacDonald played almost 20 minutes in the first 2 periods. A lot of ice time, particularly with Wisnowski being out of the lineup.
Nabokov finally holds on to that backhand floater. And there'll be a face-off deep in the Islanders zone. Busy night for Andrew MacDonald. He's played almost 23 minutes, and still 9:48 remain in the third. Coming up, the Foxwoods Final Five. Foxwoods, your destination for endless excitement. 9:48 remaining in the third period here. And the face-off deep in the Islanders zone. Islanders have Regan getting set to take the draw against Jeremy Welsh.
Welsh and Reese, a couple of W's. Can't say it's their fourth line because they don't have enough forwards to have a fourth line to Vancouver Canucks.
And down to 10 forwards. Here's Clutterbuck now with Nelson. Clutterbuck shooting. That's blocked. And now Weiss lost it to Nelson. Checked by Garrison of Vancouver. Let's dribble back to the blue line. Hickey, let's go and drive. And it caroms to the boards. Nelson round to the far side. Cartner waits on it. Throws it in front. Off of Luongo. Big carom is finally chumped out of the zone. And Hickey takes it back into the Islanders zone.
Well, that's the kind of shift that the Islanders need from all of their lines. Being able to get the puck towards the net, towards Luongo, create some opportunities.
Back in come the Canucks. Higgins against McDonald. Threw it to the net. Bakov got a piece of it. Now Martin for the Islanders. But Cizikas breaking ahead. Martin throws it in. Cizikas gives chase against Hamhuis. He whipped it quickly around. And it ricocheted past Hamonic.
Yeah, not happy. Went off the linesman's skate. Travis Hamonic give the linesman a dirty look. But what a nice play by Hamhuis. Boy, you talk about a veteran and knows what he's doing. He played the angles as he was being pressured by Casey Cizikas and just was able to clear the puck in a hurry.
Now Hamonic. And finally Kessler recovers for Vancouver. Daniel Sedin laid it out of the zone to Henrik. Leaves it for Bieksa, brings it in, faked the shot, now put it off of Nabokov, recovered by Martin, and the Islanders look to attack. Cizikas on right wing, into the Vancouver zone. Floats one behind the net. Donald continues to pursue it. He was hemmed in by Edler. A drive from the blue line by Straight, knocked aside by Luongo. Bieksa works it around, Donovan in deep. Bieksa's got it again. Absorbed the hit of Colin McDonald. And the Canucks clear out.
You can see that veteran presence on the Vancouver Canucks defensive cores. They're able to protect themselves with good angles and make great clearing plays, allowing the Canucks to get out in a hurry and prevent the Islanders from really getting any solid offensive time.
Tavares, Tanev came together. Santorelli turned around by Molson. And up comes Donovan with a Poso. But he can't get it into the zone. Glove down and now brought on by Santorelli against MacDonald. Santorelli given nothing by MacDonald's stick. And Nabokov covers up. There'll be a face-off in the Islanders zone.
Well, Santorelli's been a nice addition to the Vancouver Canucks. He's skilled. He's very good on face-offs. You can see that he's playing with a lot of confidence and able to go sideways, left to right, has good vision, obviously good hockey sense. And they're looking for someone else to be able to bring some offense into the game, not rely totally on just the Sedins and whoever might be playing with him. Burroughs is out of the lineup right now, and they miss him a great deal as he plays a lot with the Sedins.
Garrison steps up and shoots one that's blocked. And now Cartner down to the far boards. Thomas Hickey chopped down in center. And Bailey across to Nielsen. Franz Nielsen. And now Cartner pressured by Richardson. Now Cartner lifts it in. Garrison spins it hard around, chipped out by Richardson. And recovered by Hickey now at the Islander line. Now this Hickey up for Bailey. Moves up, fires. Steered away by Luongo. Kessler muscles it out of the zone. Gloves it down, puts it to his blade, then gets knocked down. He's hurt, or at least he's staying down long enough to get the whistle for the penalty. And the Canucks will have a power play.
That was Frans Nielsen. That looked like just a good solid check along the boards for Ryan Kessler. Frans Nielsen, again, not an overly aggressive player, good hard worker, not what you call the overly physical style of hockey player. Takes very few penalties.
2 minutes, elbow.
Watch Frans Nielsen, and there's the shot. I don't know if you can't tell it, he gets his arm up a little bit, but that, I don't know, that didn't look like much to me, but be that as it may, the fans are not happy. It looked like a pretty innocent play, just cruising in, getting an angle in front of Kessler, just working your angles.
Well, the Islander coaching staff just watched it on the overhead from the bench, and they're all livid.
Yeah, well, they were right there. It happened right in front of them also, so that just did not look like much of a call to me. Fans are upset. Kessler. Watch Frans Nielsen on the left of your screen. So
wow,
he gets him really with the shoulder more so than the elbow.
Well, to Mike Hassan-Franz's credit, he's over at the bench explaining it to Jack Capuano. But it sure looked more like shoulder and less like elbow from that angle, didn't it?
Yeah, depending on where Hassan-Franz was and what he looked like. Yeah, you can see that Kessler gets it around the head area, but he wasn't targeted, and it was more the shoulder than anything else.
Maybe John Tortorella bought that penalty between periods, as we discussed earlier. Here's Garrison. Across now, gets it back, fires, missed the net. Big Karam, recovered and cleared by Cizikas.
Well, this is a big PK for the Islanders. 4-3 for the Canucks. The Islanders get down 2 goals with around 5 minutes to go. It would be a tough task.
Edler lost it to Regan, then dropped it back, and here comes Kessler. He fires, blocked by the stick of McDonald. Daniel Sedin to the blue line. Now it's Garrison. Back to Daniel. Henrik. Daniel. Kessler alongside the net. Edler. Henrik with a hard pass. That was intended for Daniel Sedin, who was knocked down. Work back around the boards. Henrik Sedin feeds the blue line. Edler set up a screen. Now drives one up high. And the carom comes to Henrik. Edler at the line. Garrison pressured by Clutterbuck, as was Edler. And now Garrison with a one-timer that missed. Big carom sent to Daniel. And out of the blue line again.
That was one of the reasons they signed him. Harrison can really shoot the puck.
Daniel Sedin, hacked that by Regan. Closing in. Now plays it back. Henrik with a drive that's blocked, and then Regan turned around and dumped. Henrik Sedin will get a penalty. And the way this Islander power play has been, that could be huge.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, Howie, but that might be the 3rd time that Hendrick is going to the penalty box, and John Tortorella is really irate now. First, there's the block by Andrew McDonald. And yeah, you can see that Henrik Sedin gets the stick in between the legs, and that's all it takes. Whether it was inadvertently or not, but look at Tortorella. He is not a happy camper.
I don't know if you can read the words "make good" on his lips. I could not, but I'm sure that's what he's thinking. You're watching the Foxwoods Final 5. Foxwoods, your destination for endless excitement. Visit foxwoods.com now.
He's probably thinking, makeup call, makeup call. Be that as it may, boy, this is a golden opportunity for the Islanders to get this back to par or level.
Well, 25 seconds of 4-on-4. And then a minute 35 of a man advantage for the Islanders. And their power play has been brilliant these last couple of games. Tanev fires it in. Now Tavares. Up for Donovan. Oposo forced back. Gets it into the Vancouver zone with the penalty about to expire to Nielsen. Islander power play. McDonald's drive, stop, and pushed just wide by Tavares. The Canucks try to clear. They do. That came over the line, and the Islanders have to get out of the Vancouver zone.
Near goal with John Tavares in front, and that quick one-time shot by Andrew McDonald. Now the fans are into it.
McDonald for Oposo into the Vancouver zone. And that slipped away from a pair of Islanders. And so Nabokov will leave it for McDonald.
Tricky little pass by Kyle Oposo to Matt Moulson. Couldn't quite handle it. And just a little bit too tight.
Andrew McDonald for Oposo into the Vancouver zone. He spins it around the boards. Tavares waits, tees it up. Higgins gets a piece of him and clears.
Good pressure by the Canucks as they recognized that puck was going to be tied up along the boards. That's when you want to go when the Islanders don't have control and they're not looking at you.
McDonald to Clutterbuck. Edler was off balance. Tavares shoots. Luongo the save, and he's able to get the whistle. And Edler, for now, can take a deep breath because he was in trouble.
Yeah, he certainly wasn't. Luongo didn't know he had that puck on the quick shot. Watch Clutterbuck gets it through, big rebound, and there's the shot. Luongo just makes a diving attempt. Good shot by Clutterbuck on the angle. That's good rebound, juicy rebound, and he just catches that under his left knee, or right knee, excuse me, and now the Islanders have called timeout. And we might see them pull the goaltender at this stage.
Well, there's still plenty of time to go. I think it's even 2 minutes early to do that. Forget that they're on the power play, but you want to take advantage of the extra man, make it a two-man skating advantage for a half a minute.
Yeah, you're looking at the 6-4, but yes, it would be dangerous, and that would be very, very, let's say.
Well, let me ask you this: would you do it and then put them back in after the penalty's over if they don't score on the power play?
Well, yeah, you wouldn't have them out for 2.5 minutes.
So you're just doing it.
I would, look at it as an option. It would be, very aggressive.
Would
play.
you do it?
I'd probably not. But I'm up here. I can say those things. Jack's the coach down there.
It's his birthday.
Yeah, I can do whatever I want today. So. But that would be, not like I've never seen it before.
Right.
But it would be aggressive.
Tavares wins the draw. McDonald for Tavares, a little wide of him. Hand used, couldn't clear. Tavares checked, and the puck clipped out of the zone.
John Tavares broke a stick. He's got to hurry to get another stick with time running down.
And he will simply go back to the bench as Nielsen brings it in. Nielsen across, chipped away. And now Kessler on left wing. McDonald and Moulson. Moulson a forward back. But the Canucks are changing too. So now Higgins goes to the bench. And Bailey away from Henrik Sedin. Throws it deep and takes off after Edler. That was around and past Bieksa. Worked free. Moulson to Bailey. And he shot it just wide. Hamonic throws it down low. Slapped away. And Santorelli wants the red line. He's got that. Now he throws it into the Islanders zone. Wound around by Donovan, kept in by Bieksa. But now Regan for the Islanders starts ahead. Good feed to Clutterbuck, moving and shooting wide. Big carom. Donovan forced out of the zone.
Got to hit the net there, keep the puck in, make sure there's a rebound if you don't score. It's an easy clearing play for the Canucks when you miss the net.
Clutterbuck in a lot of traffic, and that puck eludes Hamonic. Now Donovan backing up. Clutterbuck off of Cizikas, checked by Tanev. Cizikas able to get it into the zone, but the Canucks send it back out. And now McDonald. Up the left wing to Tavares. Moving into the zone for Moulson. He shot it wide. Moulson puts it to the net. And it's stopped by Luongo. We'll see about Nabokov now with a face-off deep in the Vancouver zone. He's looking for instructions.
And Jack Capuano's used his time on already. Watch John Tavares just push the pace, causes the puck to turn over, but right behind him is Matt Moulson. So John Tavares using his speed to back the defense off. You can see both defensemen, Hamhuis and Tanev, take on John Tavares, and Matt Moulson had a golden opportunity to tie this game up.
So the face-off deep in the Vancouver zone to Nabokov is on the Islander bench. They have an extra skater. Their net is empty. McDonald draws a man down. Fire save, rebound, score! Franz Nielsen ties it with 1:12 to go. And we're all even 4-4.
Well, play starts with the face-off win, and then a beautiful play by Andrew McDonald, boy, showing the patience, not firing it with his head down. We knew that the Vancouver Canucks, there's the pass across. Now watch what happens. Andrew McDonald waits and waits and waits as he sees Hendrick come out and try to block it, and Frans Nielsen makes no mistake. He's in perfect position. He goes to the net. There's the potential block. There's the shot stop. But Frans Nielsen waiting, and a diving effort by Luongo to somehow stop it. And the Islanders have tied it up 4-4. And that's an appropriate way, I think, for this game maybe to finish in regulation time. Howie, has been a good game, and both teams have played well.
Well, we're down to 1:06 left in regulation. And that one sent all the way down. Icing's been waved off. 5th of the year for Frans Nielsen, who had an assist earlier.
Well, we talked about whether there's any issues with his hand or his wrist. Well, certainly fired that puck hard.
McDonald and Oposo got the assists in 1848. Nielsen brings it in, has it knocked away. Down to 40 to go in the third period. And Bieksa sends it out. Brought back in by Martin. He fans. And now the Canucks look to attack. Bouncing puck. Brought in by Daniel Sedin. 27 left in the period. Sedin fired that right through the crease.
It almost bounced in off Santorelli, who went to the front net area.
Cizikas a drive. That's blocked by Tanev. Down to 12. And the Islanders look like they're going to get at least a point out of this one, where it was becoming perilously close to them coming up empty. So this one's going to go to overtime. 4-4 the score. The late goal by Frans Nielsen draws the appreciation of Jack Capuano and the crowd here at the Coliseum.
Well, we talked about them coming out playing the third period like they had in the second. Don't change a thing. You had plenty of opportunities. You were going to continue to get more. Even if it takes them 20 minutes, you can see that Frans Nielsen is all happy, all smiles now. But it took a great effort, in my opinion, by Andrew McDonald on that shot. And Frans Nielsen finished it off.
Overtime is next at the Coliseum. Well, Frans Nielsen is the reason that we're going to overtime. The Islanders 3-2-6 all-time in overtime against Vancouver.
Kyle Oposo makes a great pass, but Andrew McDonald just waits and waits and waits, because if he shot it right away, Howie, it would have been blocked. Instead, he takes the time, has good patience, good vision, and gets that shot through. And yes, it was a nice rebound for Frans Nielsen in the perfect position.
So Tavares and Nielsen with McDonald and Hamonic for the Islanders. The Sedin twins with Edler handling the puck here, and Garrison. And it's pushed in by Edler.
Garrison has the big shot from the point, so if the Sedins can find some time with some puck control, they'll look to feed Garrison. He can score from the blue line.
Well, here he is inside the blue line. Nabokov challenged him. Garrison again. Lets it go. He missed the net. Edler tangled up with Tavares. The pass to Nielsen. Tavares on the right wing. Nielsen finds him as Tavares cut back towards the boards. Now to Hickey. Hickey, who has an overtime winner on his resume from last year in Montreal.
Well, everybody will be looking to jump up into place, lift a loose puck up, a rebound. Have to be careful you don't get caught into a 2-on-1 situation.
There's Tanev for Vancouver. Across to Higgins, who's had a great game, and Nabokov prevented it from becoming even greater. It's a good save for one that looked like it might have been ticketed top corner.
Good wrist shot by Higgins. He's on the move, and Nabokov snares it, using Donovan as a screen, and there's the quick wrist shot, and Nabokov snares that out of the air. Nabokov, when he's on his game, you can see that he established his position. There, his feet were still moving, Howie, so he's a little out of sync in tonight's game, in my opinion, but that's a nice save off a good quick wrist shot by Higgins.
Casey Cizikas driving to the net. Cizikas against Tanev. Lemieux in there, too, against Oposo.
Cizikas has deceptive speed. Doesn't look like he's going all that fast, but he'll go by you in a hurry.
And now Higgins throwing it back. and getting it back. 3:20 to go in overtime. Tanev in no hurry with Vancouver changing.
He wanted to get off the ice himself, so good play by the young defenseman.
Edler to Santorelli. Makes his move into the Islanders zone. Sends it wide. Centering feed from Richardson didn't get through. And up comes Tavares. Against Edler. That's slapped away. Santorelli has a little space, but straight catches him. Canucks get some help. Richardson against McDonald. Centers. They score! And the Canucks have won it in overtime. 5-4.
It looks like a Bieksa goal as he drove to the net. Puck was thrown in front of the net. And everybody went crashing into Nabokov. We've seen Bieksa jump into the net. Watch number 3. Bieksa is going to just jump in, and you'll see him, and he's able to get his stick on it. Nabokov's not very happy, a little bit frustrated.
Well, the Islanders come away with a point that they weren't looking like they were going to get when we got inside the final 2 minutes. The Canucks could care less about losing a point to an Eastern Conference team. It doesn't reflect on their playoff aspirations at all. They just wanted the 2 points however they got them. And Roberto Luongo and the Canucks come away with a 5-4 overtime win.
Well, watch the good hard work by Santorelli as he slides that puck over to Richardson, and there's Bieksa going towards the net, and that puck goes right underneath it. So that's going to be Richardson's goal as Andrew McDonald's stick gets in the way and goes right in through the 5-hole of Nabokov. Richardson trying to throw it out to Bieksa, who created the distraction. You can see why. There's the pass thrown through, and just the flex off of Andrew McDonald's stick, and again in between the legs of Nabokov. You can say it's a little bit lucky, but Bieksa drives to the net, and Richardson makes a good play by getting the puck towards the net.
4th of the year for Brad Richardson. It's an overtime winner for the Vancouver Canucks. So the Islanders finish their 4-game homestand with 1 win as the Canucks come away with a 5-4 victory.